Good morning, everybody. Just a quick question for everybody. If you think about the last time you ate something off the vine, like grapes on vacation, chives in mom's garden, anything like that, now you can imagine doing that in the safety of your own kitchen. So what that is for the smart jalapeno. You see it back here on the table back there. It's an aquaponics setup that I have apparently broke the presentation thing with. Just let it ride. So thinking about gardens, stuff like that, we're all aware of the fact that fresh produce is something that is increasingly important and increasingly hard to come across in this world. My name's Chris. I come from an action sports background. I did a little bit of time in a marketing department in Silicon Valley. I graduated last year from UNM, and I've been interested in the technology space and where technology starts to meet with nature about as long as I can remember. For those who aren't aware, biophilic design is something that highlights humanity's place in nature and tries to bring those two together. Aquaponics was my choice here. This is a little bit longer of a thing to read, but that is something from the UN Food and Agriculture. And it's talking about the better use of land and water, simpler methods of pollution control, improved management. Good stuff. So I made a smart fish tank for my capstone. It is something, it has a beta fish inside of it, and it's growing a jalapeno plant on top. Those of you online will have to imagine a extremely elegant and sophisticated design. As you can see, some of the impacts here are saved by corresponding, this thing's moving along on its own. What you'll find is that, come on. There we go. We'll just pause for a second. So as far as the build goes, first I had to design or choose designs, including the fish, how I wanted it contained, how I wanted the plant medium to be growing. That was kind of a tricky one. I had to do a lot of visiting to the local pet stores, studying some aquaculture. So I picked a beta fish, which is a lot of folks are familiar with, like Siamese fighting fish. There's only one of them. They are extremely hardy. They have something called the labyrinth organ, which lets them breathe fresh water or fresh air, including gills. So if you leave with nothing else today, you'll learn facts about beta fish. Choosing the sensors was fairly straightforward, but making them work was different. We went with a pH sensor, temperature, kind of classic, lets you know how the fish is living. There's an optimal pH scale for nutrient uptake into the plant. And more or less, we've been able to achieve that. It's been a week or two in building all of that together, trying to figure out the dechlorination, the nutrients. There's also bacteria you have to have in there as well. I've got an ambient light sensor on there as well as neopixels, so it can provide white light to the plant on a timer when it's cloudy or indoors or something like that. I also built a custom automatic fish feeder. So it has a little auger screw in it. And so every 36 hours, it just moves forward 300 steps on a stepper motor, drops some fresh fish food into the tank. And then once a week, you got to swap some water out. So I also have a functional dashboard that works with the charts of the data, and I'll give you a quick demonstration of that with some demos. much smooth, but it was really hard to get the fish to model for that. So. Some of our sensor challenges, design challenges. Sensor challenges were interesting. Only one out of those actually had sample code and a sample library, so the rest required actually coming up with our own code. Many thanks to everyone involved in helping me come up with those. We had to come up with arrays for the pH, different things for the temperature sensor. The capacitive depth sensor has a real neat trick that it actually isn't waterproof. So that was a cool thing to figure out when it's submerged. Circuit schematics, fairly straightforward there for everybody who can read breadboard. That'll be some of my dashboard. Luckily, there is water in there, but that was part of the glitch that I had going on. It was something we had to come across. It required the depth sensor to be reset every time. You have to pull it out, dry it off, and put it back in. So, here we go. A little bit of the sample code there. Quite a bit of stuff that I was keeping track of. What I'd like to do in the future, there's multiple steps for the next plan. One I'd like to do is make it scalable. I live in 550 square feet in an apartment. I'd like to see it, maybe even the size of like a rain barrel, something like that, where you could grow more than one plant. I'd also like to incorporate solar charging. It's something that seems to fit very well with the intersection of nature and technology. So using that would allow it to last a little bit longer. I think I broke it again. Oh, come on. There we go. And the last thing I'd really like to add is automatic water and nutrient balancing, because it is a pretty hardy fish. You can add almost straightforward water, but there does need to be a little bit of adulteration of what you're adding to the fish tank. Other than that, I just have nothing but gratitude for everybody in here. If you hire one of us, you'll be okay. But if you hire all 7 of us, we'd be pretty unstoppable.